tonight. This is, as you know, a rather special occasion in at least two senses. In the first place, it's a welcoming in part, I suppose, for those who have passed the 10-year mark, and that is a rather exclusive group. And secondly, it is the one occasion in the year when all of those who have been with us 10 years or more have an opportunity to gather together. And I think that's rather special because in our company have always been rather special. About 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to spend a few days in England, where the BDA, our parent corporation, had what is now a biannual get-together of pretty much all of the company, managing directors or equivalent, and that was a very interesting gathering, but I think it was rather special for us in one sense, in that many parts of the corporation right now are experiencing the worst parts of the recession. And as you know, BDA, our parent, has very heavily involved in the automotive business for a number of years, and has been trying to diversify out of that. And one of the moves they made 3 or 4 years back now, 3 years I guess, was to buy the Guthrie Corporation, of which we were a part. And in that, they became rather more diversified, but still are very much an automotive company in some respects. And it was kind of interesting that here we are 3 years after the acquisition, and I can tell you that they are absolutely delighted to be in the electrical business today. It is the strongest part of the business right now, and we and our cousin company, if I can call it that again, in Ohio, are doing as well as any part of the entire corporation, and it's a pretty big corporation. So that was kind of gratifying, and I keep reminding people in England and elsewhere when we get together that that's due entirely to the kind of people that we've got in this company. We've grown over the years. When we first held this, I think we were able to do it at one little table in a restaurant down the road, and Tony Trench, our founder, was pretty much the host and had all the war stories, and was the raconteur for the party. And as we've grown to the size we are now, we've had bigger and bigger rooms. This year, with the addition that we made last year at the Austrian facility, when we bought States Electric, our revenue is going around over $100 million. So we've come a long way in a fairly short time, and we're very much an international company. It's a pity that we can't bring the 10-year people from Austria to be with us, but that would be a little ponderous, and it's going to be a while before we can afford to take all of you over there for a party. They have their own. That would be nice. That would be nice. But recently, part of the fact that's getting bigger and getting stronger. And the key to that is competitiveness. I suppose that if you listen to the radio, watch TV, read the magazines and the papers these days, you see this word competitiveness over and over and over again. It's quite interesting to me that they've been taking Wilson now in the cabinet and made him, in effect, what might be called a minister of competitiveness. Clearly, it's finally dawned on our government, at least at the federal level, and decreasingly at other levels perhaps, that we really do have to worry about competitiveness as a nation. Because if we forget it, then we start to suffer, we start to deteriorate as a country. You can't escape the readouts that we're getting, that our competitive position in the world, our standard of living in the world, our ability to compete in the world, our ability to export and sell is falling year by year. We're now another notch down this year. And each year we slip a bit because as a country, we simply haven't come to terms with living in a global environment. And you see that over and over and over again. That's why people are shopping in Buffalo. I don't think it's anything to do with free trade. I don't think it's got anything to do with the Canadian dollar. I think it's because by and large, American retailers go out of their way to sell to you. And a lot of Canadian retailers don't. And people are voting with their feet. Al Finn will forgive me for this, but it's a little inside story. We've been looking for a regional sales manager. They're tough to find, good salespeople. We finally found one, and they're going to be joining us in a little while. You know who found them for us? We've tried a whole bunch of recruiting companies around Toronto, around Southern Ontario. A guy in California had enough hustle and spent enough money in long-distance phone calls to find us the man we wanted. Now, if somebody can do that in California, you have to explain to me why people around Ontario, around Toronto can't do that. But that's the world we're living in. We're being out-hustled on almost every front that we're in. And if we've got one goal in the trench, it ought to be this, that we will stay the leader in our industry, the leader in our product lines, the leader in our market, and we won't allow anybody to dislodge us from that. Now, we won't do that listening very much to our government. We won't do it listening very much to the magazines and the papers and the people in our city. We'll do it by listening to our customers. And they're the key. If we listen to our customers, if we listen to what they're telling us, if we watch the competition, then we've got a good fighting chance. We've done extremely well as a company. We've got, what, almost 30 years now? Is it 30, Tony? It's very close. We've got almost 30 years now since Tony rented a little garage. He's older than he looks. He looks like a spring chicken, but it's 30 years since he started. Rented a little garage downtown, and in effect said, I can do a better job with very little resources than this giant corporation GE can do with all of its resources. And that kind of hustle, that kind of attitude will make you a winner every time. And I think Tony, he would never say this, but he's quietly proud of the fact that his name's on a building today. And his name's on a building in Austria today. And his name's going to be in some other buildings before he's too much older. That's what it takes. It takes energy, dedication, commitment, and a terrific desire to please our customers, to do what they want us to do in order to succeed. Now, we found the secret to that, and it's not in big buildings, it's not in investing money, it's not in getting government help. We've had a few dollars from the government over the years, but very, very small. And by and large, we've done what we've done simply by pulling together the right kinds of people and getting on with it. And I tell you, the gall of Italian and French companies who come here and buy something like we have them and ask the taxpayer to fork out $500 million, which is what they're asking for, to help the Canadian auto workers, who are the people behind the job security issues, keep everybody employed in a company that can't get on with it, just makes you want to whatever. Okay? We must never ever give into that kind of thinking. Canadian companies are only going to do well if they're prepared to compete on a global basis. And we've been able to do that, we've been successful at it, and I want to thank every one of you, because it's you people who have stuck with us through the years. You people who have been loyal to us. 6 months ago, we had an agents meeting in this building. And you know, that's our sales agents from around the country. Al Finn and gang did a superb job in pulling together really what was a worldwide sales marketing meeting. And we had people there who placed their trust in Trench over 20 years ago, many of them, and said, we'll go with you guys, over the big guys, and they stuck with us, and I think it's been good for us. And I think in many, many cases it's been good for them. You have voted to stay with the Trench, some of you, all of you for over 10 years, some of you, as you'll see tonight, for a bit longer than that. And I think you'll be to be commended. I hope that all of us who have a responsibility to each other, because that's the way the company really works, will be able to say in the end that that trust was not misplaced, that we've done the right thing by each other, we've done the right thing for our customers, we've done the right thing for Canada. So we're going to welcome some of you into the 10-year club tonight, and I'm going to ask our founding member of the 10-year club, Tony Trench, to come up and join me as we give to some of you kind of a physical token of your time with the company. So Tony, do you want to come up and join me? And for this 10 years.
Sure do.
Andy Vaughn. I guess it should be Vaughn playing with you. We'll swap these out. Irene Hendry. This was a great place to work just 10 years ago.
Zoomed in.
Oh, you can zoom.
Sue Jackson. Sue, congratulations. Sue drives every day, what, 55 minutes? That's determination. One late. Sharon Mancini. Sharon's really famous, not so much for being in trenches, for being the heart and soul of our social life throughout the year. It's impossible to replace. Naturally. Heidi. No, we have, keep on. We're doing this. Tight cut. Roger Lane. IT this year. I guess that's really when we kind of just stepped up in terms of size at the instrument transformer. Now we come to a group that have been here for 15 years. So in or about 1975, 76, this group joined us, and we were smaller then. Probably, in many ways, the most interesting 15 years in the company. But in this group, we've got an old-timer who has been in and out with us, actually, Lynn Humby. Congratulations. George Minette. This one. I don't know whether we should give this or not. Where's Sandy?
Not here.
This is one guy. You promise not to tell it outside of here. This is 10 minutes old. During the break, I went out and went around the front lobby, went to the washroom. It was nice and quiet in there, and did what I had to do. I came out. On the way out, I stumbled into this beautiful little girl walking in. And I said, "Honey, you're in the wrong place." And she pointed at the door, and she wasn't in the wrong place.
You were.
This guy is one on the other side of the table to which he is appended. I would not want to sit. Can't negotiate with this guy anything. We've had, in 15 years, you get through some tough situations. Sometimes you're really getting a bit of trouble and you have to just send a rescue team. Sometimes you can't collect your money. You have to send an enforcer. Sometimes you just don't understand what really was in the contract. You have to get an interpreter. Well, Sam has played every one of these roles, and he's never returned without something in his hand. He's a superb guy to work with, and has done a lot of different things in the company. But it hasn't always been fun. But it's always been congratulations. And Bruce Stewart, who's still growing. 15 years. And the man from Memphis, Tony Walsh. We got this resume in the mail. We were looking for quality types, and this one came with a big Rolls-Royce emblem of I said, well, we did say quality, but I don't know if we can afford this. But he's one of the best acquisitions we ever got, because Tony has kept us sharp, and that sharpness has been right at the center of what we've been able to do. Tony, I know that you're really a soccer fan, and that soccer and dancing work the same way, but it's been great to have you. Thank you very much for that. on just about everything in the company, starting in the plant, and I would take them all evening probably to tell us all the jobs he's done in the plant. But when I first came to Trench, there was this young fellow in our purchasing department.
Still growing.
Yeah, he had started to shake back then. He used to come in very early in the morning. Rumor had it he was in at 6 or thereabouts, and he used to stay late at night. And in addition to all his good purchasing that he was doing, he was into the books and studying. Eventually got his degree, doing it part-time, which is the tough way to do it. And associated with that, he kept showing the different things that he could do within Trench. And Al's one of those guys that really does have very deep resources. And as we've been able to tap into those resources, as he's been able to tap into them, he's really grown with the company in a most marvelous way. He's a great guy to work with. He's taken on more and more responsibility. And right now, the burden of keeping this year's growth going at an accelerated, dynamic rate on his shoulders. He's got broad shoulders. He's great fun. He plays a lot of golf. Laughs a lot, if you haven't noticed.
He can't play soccer. Last night,
I probably saw him work the Halloween. But it's great to have Alan with us on our team. And it's great to recognize his 20 years of Trench Electric. I know he wants to say a word. You never lost the words, have you?
No. Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. Gee, this is rather spontaneous. But, well, I'll tell you, when I first started 20 years ago, there was no way I would have expected to have been here in 20 years. As a matter of fact, I was on my way to Vancouver and I was working for the summer. So things changed in my life, in the sense that I met a lot of people who seemed to be having a lot of fun working. And I could really have a hard time, I really did have a hard time understanding how people could really enjoy working. And as I began to work in the factory and got to know some of the individuals, I saw that life in the workplace could in fact be fun. And I think, for the most part, that's what's kept me at Trench Electric. And when I get up in the morning and head for work, I really do look forward to seeing a lot of people that I can laugh with and joke with throughout the day. And really, anybody who comes into our facility, when they walk out the door, they actually comment at the reception area, it looks like you people are having a good time. It is that noticeable that the environment is so positive and so good in our organization. And it's really a cultural thing, and everybody in this room is contributing to it. And I'm really proud to be a part of this workforce, and I believe we're going to be continuing to be successful. And I really appreciate this evening, and it's a good time for us to get together like this.
Now, if you think 20 years is a long time, consider this. Some years ago, in the small town of Rutherglen, Scotland, there was a young lady who went through, I understand, the Bankhead Public School there, and then on to Gallo Flat Secondary School near Glasgow. And in 1958, she developed the itchy feet syndrome and decided to emigrate to Canada. That was after she'd worked for a while in Glasgow and done a few things. And she came out to Canada and worked at Canadian Arsenals, which is one of those crown corporations that you've heard of. She started to work there for the princely sum of $40 a week. And rumor has it that she worked hard for a while. She was satisfied with that. And then she discovered a little outfit, struggling little outfit. I think it was just probably Tony and a couple of helpers. Who made a little organization. And this lady was a natural-born organizer. She could take a mess and just straighten it out. She could take confusion and turn it into order. She could help people get their day prioritized. and and she also could do some accounting and bookkeeping. And so she applied for a job at Trench Electric. I read her application. We're talking to Rita Young, of course. I read her application. She listed her language as English. You couldn't really tell that the first time you met her, but she managed to get through the interview stage, and she came in and became, after doing a bit of bookkeeping and so on, the office services supervisor. Now, we don't have that job anymore, but in those days, the office services supervisor was a big deal. And people tell me that in the early days, if you worked in the offices at Trench, and if you were a young lady and you had the gall to turn up in jeans or cutoffs or something like that, you went back home and got properly dressed for office work. Rita had a reputation for keeping things neat and tidy. And so it was kind of natural that as the company grew, she just took on more and more responsibility. And I first met Rita when I joined and was introduced to her as the person who could help with anything. She knew the history of the company. She knew the people in the company. She really couldn't get a technical break in a product, but she knew who could. And so she was used to get all kinds of things done. And I remember the first time that I needed to go out and look for a secretary, I just said to Rita, Rita, this is your problem. You do the interviewing, you write the spec, and I'll trust you. And I did, and I never got in trouble as long as I trusted Rita. More recently, as the company's grown, Rita has taken on responsibility for what we call collections. Collections is a euphemism for getting customers to pay up after we've delivered their goods, getting them to pay up in time, and getting them to pay up the correct amount, which is basically all the money they owe us. And so Rita's become famous pretty much across the continent and maybe across the world as that charming Scots lady in Toronto who asks you very nicely for your money and gets it out of your wallet right over the phone before you can escape. So she gets done by charm what a lot of other companies have to do in other ways. That's because she's a charming person. I think everybody that's ever worked with Rita has thoroughly enjoyed the experience. It's not too much to say that she's a blessing to the company. She's the kind of person you want to have around, not just to collect your money, but to really help kind of glue the company together. And Rita is the first member to join Tony Trench in the 25-year club. We were hoping to have George Hunt here tonight because he qualifies as well. I think George got food poisoning in the last 48 hours, and unfortunately can't do it. So let's celebrate him another time. But Rita, it's absolutely delightful to welcome you into the 25-year.
I just said to Tony, I knew we could make it 26 years now. Ago, I really didn't think I would stay. Like Callum said, I was planning on moving somewhere else. But like Callum, I found it was a challenge. I enjoyed the people I worked with. And we kept increasing so rapidly. I just never got around to leaving. So here I am. I'm still here, and I'm working with everyone here. Thank you.
Well, and congratulations to all of you who have joined the 10-year club tonight, and to all of you who stick with it and stick with Trench. And the best days are still ahead for all of us. Thank you.